Roger Stone has been arrested. So what was he arrested for, Reed? 7 things?
Yeah, so he was indicted on 7 charges, and that includes obstruction, witness tampering, and other charges, I believe, lying in front of Congress and potentially lying to law enforcement.
Okay. Well, I think that we had known for a long time that they were circling Roger Stone, right? Because they were kind of asking everybody, interviewing everybody who was around Roger Stone, but they weren't really interviewing Roger Stone. So you could figure out you're the center of an investigation by in that way. You know, they're talking to everybody around me, but not me. So what's going on here? So I think we all kind of knew that Roger Stone was going to go down in this whole fiasco. And I think this is it, guys. I think this is it. I know that everybody wants Trump and everybody wants, his son or Jared Kushner or anybody else, but I think that this whole thing was just boiling down to Roger Stone. And I think this is going to be I think this is it. What do you think, Reed?
I don't think so. I mean, I read part of the indictment, and there's other senior officials in the Trump campaign were involved. So basically, they're accusing him of coordinating with WikiLeaks to release the hacked DNC emails, the emails from John Podesta, Hillary's campaign manager, and those were hacked by Russia, sent to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks allegedly coordinated with Roger Stone.
Right.
And then in this indictment, it says that he was doing it, or at least with the knowledge of other Trump officials. And at one point it says that senior officials, and don't quote me on this, but they were directed to tell Stone to get these emails out at a certain time. And for senior officials to be directed by someone, it has to be directed by someone above them. And who's above senior officials in the Trump campaign? Donald Trump. So I think, there's definitely other people in the campaign that knew about this. This is collusion. It seems pretty straightforward. Collusion's not a criminal charge.
Right.
But this seems like it's what they've been after. This is the collusion. It's right in front of us. Yeah.
For one, I think that big campaigns protect the candidate quite a bit. So I actually don't think that Trump really necessarily knew about this stuff. I think he may have, but he also might not have, because I do think that they protect the candidates a lot. And also, I don't know if it's a crime, because what I read was that Roger Stone was the one who was working with WikiLeaks, according to this new indictment, but that he had been asked by senior officials in the Trump campaign about what was going on with that. But I don't know if that's a crime. I don't know if it is a crime to say, hey, I know that you've got this kind of thing. Like, what's up with that anyway? I don't know if it's a crime to ask. So
I don't know if it's a crime, but it's a sign that the campaign knew what he was up to.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's I just don't know. Knowing about something that's going to go down, I don't know how much. It might be unethical. It might be immoral. It might be, those things. I just don't know if it's criminal. I think it just stops with Roger Stone. I don't think they're going to get anybody else really for anything else. I think they might say to the others, hey, listen, that was bad. That was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. But I don't know if it's criminal. So, I guess we have to just wait and see, right?
Yeah.
So, definitely people are falling who have been involved in the Trump campaign. But I still don't think we're necessarily getting them for what everybody wants. And that to me is, it does. I don't like that. I feel like if you're going to get somebody, get them for what you want to get them for. Getting them for all of these roundabout things, unless, it's obvious the person is an obvious, complete criminal that you've been trying to get for a really long time, like Al Capone, where they murder people and you have never been able to pin a murder on them, but you know that they're murdering people. And so you just have to get them for tax evasion. So, in this case, though, we're going after them specifically. We want to see, did they know anything? Were they working with the Russians in order to infiltrate the U.S. government? And, we're not able to get them for that. I just feel like the rest of it is...
I think these charges are directly related to that. Collusion itself is not a crime. You can't charge someone with collusion, but witness tampering and lying to investigators to cover up coordination with someone who is in possession of hacked Russian emails or Russian hacked emails, that seems like as close as you can get to criminal charges of collusion.
Okay, but what is the point, right? What is the actual ultimate problem here? So the real problem is, you don't want a Manchurian candidate. And the other problem is, you don't want a candidate who, for whatever reason, is beholden to Russia. But I don't know if it's really the Trump campaign trying to win and doing everything that they can to win does not necessarily mean that they are Manchurian in any way or that they're beholden to Russia in any way. And that's ultimately what the American people are worried about. It's not really, you did everything you could to win, and so you ended up doing these sinister things. They all do sinister things to win. I mean, whether they dig up trash about the candidate, their opposing candidate, and they smear their families, and they, politics is dirty and it's ugly, and they all have been doing it for decades. So I don't know if doing everything you can to win, even if it's dirty, is necessarily shocking. What we don't want is a candidate who's beholden to a foreign hostile government. So if none of this boils down to that, then to me it just feels like, what are we doing here? We're just setting a precedent that I think can be very dangerous for future administrations. What we want is very specific, and we need to get them for that. And if we can't get them for that, then I think we need to just kind of, it looks witch hunty. It starts to look witch hunty, and they will do it to us. They'll do it to us.
I mean, who would have known about all of these things, though? All of these things that Roger Stone was up to, the Trump Tower Moscow deal. Russia has known about these things this whole time, and they haven't come forward and said anything.
Well, why would
so
they?
If you're looking for, they're holding that over the Trump administration.
Or they're not, or they don't care.
Conclusion.
I mean,
yeah, but
even
the
if
Trump
they did
administration is operating with the assumption that Russia knows this stuff, and so if Trump campaign officials think, hey, the Russians know this, we don't want that to get out, that's an incentive to work with Russia on some things. I don't want our president being in that situation. I don't want his his top officials being in that situation.
But what's the crime? So even if, let's say, Russia did come to you and say, hey, we've got dirt on this other candidate that you're running against, I understand that the implications of, you've got to wonder what Russia's motivation is to smear the other candidate and to put you in instead. But I don't know where that's particularly criminal for anybody involved. What's that?
It sounds like treason if you take them up on that. I mean, you're working with one of our country's biggest enemies to get elected.
I'd have to look into what other candidates do in regards to other foreign countries when it comes to getting elected. Because I do think that taking help from, politics, they get help from anywhere and everywhere they can get it to get elected. And I don't know if all the other candidates in the past have been clean as far as not getting some kind of assistance from maybe not a non-hostile government, but like a British person, a British official.
But there's a huge difference between England working to elect someone and our country's biggest enemy.
No, there really isn't, because we haven't said we're at war with Russia. So it's unless we're actually directly at war. For one, it's not treason unless we've got to be at war. So saying, many people feel like Russia is hostile. I feel like that. I feel like Russia's hostile. Because one of my best friends is Russian. She grew up in Moscow. She tells me about what the Russian people think about Americans and the propaganda that she was fed in her youth, commercials that would run talking about America being the big bad enemy. And, they've definitely been told that we're the enemy. All the Russian people have been told this for a long time. So I do think that there is a hostility there for sure. But unless we're declared at war with this country, I don't know if you can say they're really, truly, legally any different than any other nation like Germany or England or Brazil or wherever you might be getting help from to run an election. The thing I care about, is he compromised? Can they hold something over his head? I don't know, even if the Russians knew about all of these meetings, and even if the Russians knew about, the Trump campaign, even they were like, yeah, the Russians know about this. We don't really want to advertise it to the American people that this happened. But if the American people found out about that, how bad is it? People around Trump and others might just say it's really not that bad. I mean, we've been taking help to win campaigns from various different places forever. In politics. Everybody's dirty when it comes to politics. So I don't know. I mean, I just want them, if they're going to go after him, then get him for being a Manchurian candidate. Get him for being truly compromised and beholden to Russia. I don't know if this kind of stuff is the way to do it. I think that it has more to do with money. I mean, I think that if he is beholden to Russia and he's got interests, I don't think it's collusion. I don't think it's anything illegal. I just think that the American people elected in a guy who's super greedy and he wants to build towers in Moscow and he wants money from Russia. And because of it, he's going to make policies and he's going to make decisions that are beneficial to Russia because he wants something from them when he gets out of office. Greed, sheer greed. And unfortunately, that's not illegal. It's just that we need to be better about who we elect into office. Trump is not the guy. He's clearly a businessman who's greedy, but he ran on a totally different message. He said he wasn't. He was going to drain the swamp and all this other stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I've always thought that the Russians definitely had a lot to do with the election and him winning in a variety of ways. But collusion has never been something I bought in on. I just don't. I don't think it's. We got to get, if we want Trump out of office, trying to get him out by impeaching him or saying that the guy's treasonous or all of that. I just think that's going to cause so much chaos in this country that we're better off putting forward a good candidate, running against him and winning.